Yeah.
awesome.
They're coming up from New Orleans. They come stay with us for a night.
Aw.
They camped out on a river in Mississippi the night
Oh,
before, and
wow.
Vicksburg. Yeah,
My mother's
yeah, we're
family's from
really.
Vicksburg.
Oh, really? God,
Yeah.
there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of history. There
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
is.
My grandfather worked for the Army Corps of Engineers, and so he helped when they were rebuilding the bridge from Mississippi to
Mm.
Louisiana. Yeah, so that's
That's is
he's very
that
proud of that.
Biloxi? Is that
Uh,
Biloxi?
no, Vicksburg, the Vicksburg Bridge.
Oh, the Vicksburg Bridge. Okay, I
Yeah,
got you. That's
yeah.
right.
No,
I forgot
the
about that one.
Biloxi Bridge between here and Ocean Springs. That was a
Yeah.
whole big thing after Katrina because the bridge that was there was completely wiped out,
Was it
which was
really? The
gone,
what? You're
gone.
kidding? That big long one?
Yes, gone, gone.
Wow.
It's in fact, I wrote a song about it afterwards because I was just amazed at how wind and water, things that we need, right? Air
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
water could do that. They could knock out steel and concrete and everything men think
Right.
that's impermeable, right?
Us, the lesser gods that we are. Here, I'm going to play the intro because I think we just got the ability to play it back and give people a little bit more time. We're
Hey
being
people,
suppressed.
I see y'all.
Yeah. We're being suppressed, so if these shows resonate with you, please share to your page or to a group. We don't usually ask that, but for some reason, they're really coming down on us. Be right back. We'll be right back just in a minute, 19 seconds. Well, we got 22 people in the house. Trish Causey's in the house.
Awesome. Hey, y'all.
Y'all, that's right. She's neighbors. She's down in Mississippi. We're in Arkansas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you are for one thing that you do is you're like a sacred sexuality specialist.
Absolutely.
We had a great conversation last time. I'm anxious to. I am, because like in my own experience with Morgan, it's getting trippy. It's getting freaky, like I don't mean freaky like in the old vernacular, but in the new 5D, it's like, I'm wondering why my breasts are swelling up with blood and
that's
my
actually
feminine.
normal. Yeah, that's actually normal. Your breast tissue swells up to about 25% through sexual arousal.
Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I just keep, this feminine energy within myself has come into the surface, and it's affecting all aspects of my experience. But in that space, where we share, it's pretty interesting, but all I can do is surrender. And one of the main things it's one of the things I wanted to talk about, not so much about the specifics, but like I've been getting these messages, when we're in that situation, which is don't make any moves, just surrender. Like just allow yourself to be touched. Just like put yourself in her shoes. And then I had all these revelations like, wow, that's not really that comfortable. Somebody mauling you and just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
I do.
It's opened up this whole new thing, and it's made me realize how or at least for me anyway, but like it would make sense collectively too, because we're talking energy, obviously. But it makes me realize how the next step cannot really occur until the masculine kind of experiences what I'm experiencing, and it's got to be happening in other places as well. But I just see how deep my programming ran, and we talked about this a little bit last time. I made a lot of progress, and so on and so on. But I think about things like, like one of the things that's happened to me is my relationship with my lingam has totally changed. My perception has changed. The way I treat it's changed, because it was either the hero or the zero, depending on what was going on in my life. But
Right.
to be able to welcome it to my body, my essence, which is, founded on this physical vessel, but to bring it into that, let's just say that community of the body, the completed body, where it's treated equally. It's not treated as the hero. It's not treated as a zero. And I just think about how deep this programming went, obviously for everybody, women and men, but I just see where the men, with porn, with masturbation, with fantasy, with, hurry up, let me get hard and come, versus chill out, dude, and just see what happens. And maybe you'll learn something, So I don't know. I mean, do you work with a lot of men, or is it mostly women?
Most of my clients are men, actually.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, a couple of them in 2 separate sessions. They don't know each other. They live on opposite sides of the world, but they both called me the penis guru in session. I was like, wow, okay. But no, I do deal with I do help a lot of men. Women come to me because they want better orgasms, but it's also to help them heal sexual trauma. So it's a lot of physical wounding in that regard. For men, when men come to me, it's either for help after they can't have erections like they used to. So it's some kind of sexual dysfunction, but it's almost always stress induced. It's a mental, emotional thing rather than a physical. It's not physical first. It's like the physical, as in most things for us on the ascension path, it happens energetically, and then we see it in the physical, and that's what it is for a lot of men. Or they come to me because of they've been circumcised, or they need to heal or learn how to have sex again after being circumcised, or they're experiencing erectile dysfunction because of being circumcised as a child, because neonatal circumcision has immediate and long-term effects. And I think we talked about that a little bit as well, because I am a foreskin activist, a foreskin fairy, when I'm able to get out on the road and educate people.
What does that mean? What does that mean, a foreskin activist? What do you mean?
Well, it's to understand that the foreskin is normal. That's why all males in all 5,416 species of mammals are born with a protective covering on the glands of the penis. The glands is actually an internal organ. It's not meant to be. It's not designed to be external. And so
the glands, okay, so when you say foreskin, so like when you're circumcised, obviously it's no longer a foreskin, it's an uncovered.
It is an uncovered, exposed internal organ. So if you can imagine, and you can do this in your own leisure, you don't have to do it right now, but imagine your tongue. Stick out your tongue and then keep it there for a day. Don't bring your tongue back in your mouth, and see how your tongue feels after a day. You can't even do that. But I mean, you can try, but just see how dry it feels, how uncomfortable it feels, and how it naturally wants to recoil back into the moist lining and protection of the mouth. And so what I find so interesting about circumcision, whether it's male circumcision or female circumcision, is that we would not allow the excision of any other part of a child's body. I mean, they would call the police on you, but there's something about the sexual organs. There's something about the genitals, and people having control over that part of their own body, because that part of your body is so crucial, in my opinion, to your overall experience as a human being, because orgasm is the fastest way to have a connection with God, or to feel that. I mean, why do you think we say, oh God, oh God, oh God, during sex, right? And the thing is that, right?
It reminds me of that meme. I saw a meme the other day, and it was a picture of Jesus. And he said, your woman yells my name out during sex. But yeah.
Yep. Right.
So,
And so
I mean,
there are
yeah,
many ways that circumcision is harmful, and just the fact that it's always this. What gets me is that it's the sexual genitals, and for religious reasons, it's the dumbest reason ever. Because
yeah,
if Satanists wanted to amputate the left pinky of their newborn child, that would not be allowed. If
right.
any other religious sect wanted to, chop off another part of a baby, they would not be allowed. But for some
Yeah, that's
reason,
deep, man.
some religions and some cultures are allowed to have this pass when it comes to amputating part of the normal genitals of children. And
Wow.
so it's either neonatal or up to 12 years, like in the Philippines, it's 11, 10, 12 years old, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So in answer to your question, yes, most of my clients are men, but I love helping women. I
Mhm.
love educating about the vagina and about the clit and the female prostate and female ejaculation, and that the female ejaculation fluid, which is Amrita, the nectar of the
Yeah.
gods, and
Yeah.
just how beautiful it all is and how amazing it's all designed. Like, I am in awe of the penis. The penis is this amazing engineered machine that we could not replicate here, in the physical. There are no pulleys and lever systems and hydraulics that could mimic what the penis can
Right.
do like
Right.
that when a man's not stressed. So
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because I know in my evolution in intimacy with Morgan, as I learned all these things and unlearned all these things, it was amazing to me much, how my thoughts dictated, no pun intended, but how my thoughts dictated really, when I went that deep, my erection, because it would be like should I do this or should I do that? Or all those old programs. And it's really crazy because I think I told you this last time, but as this was happening, I would have these pains, like these aches and these, like I say, a nerve ending, pain or just different types. And I noticed the more I surrendered, the more it felt good. Like there was no pain. Like, it wasn't there. It's not there anymore. And I don't even know where this is going, but it sure
that could
looks.
have. It sounds like
Mm,
to me that
mm,
because you're unraveling and unwinding a lot of the indoctrinations that you, as a
mhm.
male in a male-dominated society, and I love men, don't take that the wrong way, but it sounds to me like you are unwinding and unraveling some
Yeah,
of the issues stuck in your pain body, which is the
yeah,
sacral.
yeah,
Or the various layers of your aura, your energetic field. The pain gets stuck there, and as
yeah,
you surrender to that and you allow it, and but that pain is where people stop, because pain is uncomfortable, right? Pain is a signal that something is wrong somewhere, and not knowing is scary, but sometimes knowing is even scarier, and
right, right.
so people stop at the pain, yeah, and they don't go
Yeah.
forward.
And even if it's not, related to the sacral, I mean, I think we're figuring out that don't run from the pain, run to the pain. Because if you run to the pain, first of all, we know now there's gold on the other side, and if you don't run to the pain, it's going to come back and it's going to be more painful.
It's gonna bite you on the ass. That's what the ascension process is, right? It's just at this point you're like, oh fuck, okay, whatever. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just go ahead, and the only way out is through. And so once you get to the pain, you have to go through it, because through the pain are all the answers that you need to heal.
Yeah.
And you'll
Yeah.
never get those answers because you can't bypass this stuff. That's what a lot of people in the spiritual community try to bypass: sex and money, because
Mhm.
those are two of the biggest programs that we have, that sex is dirty, awful, evil, and
Mhm.
that money is dirty, awful, and evil. Interesting. And that people who have that are mean, awful, and evil, and women who have that are prostituting somehow. So it's interesting to me how I think what we need to wake up to is that we are allowed to have abundance on all levels here
Right.
in the physical. Like, that is our birthright. It's just that our birthrights to all of this love and happy, joy, and abundance on all levels, including success and money, that was hijacked a long, long time ago. And so we've been doing a lot of samsara, hamster wheel karmic reincarnations
Right.
to help heal and fix and fight And I think some people are still stuck in the fight. And it's like, no, and because the root chakra helps govern that fight or flight syndrome. And then you have that, it's fight, flight, or, freedom. You can choose freedom out of that too. And that's what a lot of people are learning, but you have to go through surrender. You have to go through the pain, do your healing, do your shadow work. Because I consider myself a shadow healer, not a light worker. As much, not a light worker as much, because you heal the shit, man. Deal with it already. That's
I like that better. Morgan's like, we're like, she says like shadow eaters. I like yours better though. Shit clearers.
Yeah. Well, I call it like when my clients, I say like, I'm going to do the Roto-Rooter thing. We're going to go in, we're going to Roto-Rooter all that shit up and out and just be done with it. Yeah, it's going to fucking hurt. But it's not just this lifetime. It's thousands of past lives, alternate lives, stuff you've got going on concurrently you don't even know about. Right. Let's heal all of it. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do it. But I'm Irish, so I like to get in there and roar.
Do you feel like that in working with the men, because it really seems like that energy is starting to awaken to itself, as the feminine energy has over the previous few years, but really it's starting to make an appearance now. And but do you find that when working with men that most of the issues that they have are founded in sexual trauma, sexual distortion, or is it deeper than that? Is that just a symptom?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think there's anything deeper than sexual trauma, because sexual trauma and physical abuse is horrendous too. And I was physically abused by my mother. So the sexual abuse is outside the family. Thank goodness I didn't have to deal with incest, as a lot of my clients do. But the sexual trauma isn't just being attacked and mauled and pawed, like what you alluded to at the beginning. That it's not this aggressive touch or feeling, or even straight up hitting and whatever, but it's actually being violated up inside your body. Wow. Like this, my skin, let's say, is a boundary, but when you violate that and you force yourself in my vagina or my anus or my mouth, that is a violation that has now literally penetrated every boundary I have. I wasn't strong enough to fight you off. I was freaked out and frozen in fear, so I didn't fight. Like, oh, why didn't you fight? Oh, fuck that. Fuck you and fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Stop that shit. Stop blaming like that. But that sexual violation, I really do think is truly one of, if not the deepest abuses we can experience. And that's not to get into oppression Olympics and say that it's, others aren't, if you know what I mean. It's just when you have that kind of boundary violation, it is intense and it goes deep, and it absolutely affects you on every level of your life, where other forms of trauma, say abandonment, rejection, or even physical abuse, may not affect you in every aspect of your life. Right. But for men, men absolutely experience sexual abuse and trauma, but they don't understand it in that way. They don't understand it. Like if someone was aggressive, a woman was aggressive, and if they weren't ready for sex, but she jumped on top and you whipped their penis out and just started riding, he didn't consent to that. Yeah. I'm all for very specific verbal consent to everything. The other thing that you alluded to, where men's issues come from, are all of the indoctrinations of society, culture, religion, and even politics, and how men are taught to be from the time they are children, in sports and competing, and, go for everything and don't take no for an answer, and, get up, dust yourself off and get back in there. There's no time to sit back and reflect and say, wow, do I even really want this? And how do I actually feel about this? Men are just now becoming okay and giving themselves permission to feel things and allow themselves to feel and to reflect on this. When you're talking about erections, is that one of the reasons why men feel so separated from their sexual self, their true sexual sensual self, is because the erection is up and out and ejaculation ejaculation is out. So most of their sexual experience is actually up and outward from
Right.
them, not coming at them the way it
Right.
is for women,
Right.
And so it's understanding, stop calling your penis junk, because your genitals are not junk, they're beautiful.
Mhm.
And then understanding that if you can surrender and just allow the process, you can do what's called like circling the energy. You don't even
Yeah.
have to ejaculate. Your
Yeah.
experience, and your experience doesn't have to be outward away from you. It can actually be upward within you, and
Yeah.
that's a whole other incredible journey for a man to experience his sexuality and sensuality.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. And the thing with the trauma with men too, I think, I saw one time, I think it said it was pretty horrific. I think it was like 4 out of 5 women have been molested or sexually assaulted in some way, and I think it was like 1 out of 5 men. And I was like, I wonder about that, and I wonder if because they're men and because it's a patriarchal kind of setup, if their trauma can come in a different way, like you were talking about, a woman jumping on you. And that actually happened to me one time. And it sounds like a fantasy come true. You're laying on the couch and
Lots of porn built on that. Yeah.
and you're sleeping, but it was a severely, and I had forgotten about it till you actually brought it up, but it was severely traumatic. I got up the next day, and I dealt with it a long time ago. It wasn't like I blocked it out, but the next day, I mean, and first I basically, after about a minute and a half, I threw her off of me. And then I got up and I just sat in a stool and cried and I didn't even know what the hell was going on. I mean, this was after, it was just like all this stuff started coming in, and it was all about just feeling like shit. I mean, it was like just feeling like powerless. It was crazy. But yeah, so are men's traumas, do you think, different? I mean, do they happen the same way? I mean, or whether it be rape or just molestation or feeling or touching, or does it come in a different way for them?
In my opinion, because we're all human beings, I think that we innately feel the trauma in a very similar way.
Mm-hmm.
But because the trauma can be enacted in a different way, how the trauma actually happened can affect your response to it and your how you react to it afterward.
Yeah.
But because men are like that one in 5, I think that's very low. I think that's very low. And so right there, what that tells me is that there are a lot of men who are not willing to admit that they've been sexually attacked, even to themselves, like in an anonymous survey, but also that men, that there's such shame. I wasn't strong enough. I'm supposed to be a man, I'm supposed to be able to handle everything, because men have had this conditioning of the, talk a little, carry a big stick, that it's all in their actions, right? That their strengths are in their actions and lead from the front, and which is great. But sometimes you need to step back and understand, oh my gosh, if you have ever had any kind of sexual contact that was not consensual and you said stop and the person didn't, that's an issue. And that is an assault. And so for men, this idea of being big and strong and being able to handle anything that comes at them, a lot of men don't want to admit to themselves, much less publicly, that, oh, I wasn't strong enough to push a woman off of me.
Right.
So, and that there again goes to
or another man, right?
Or another man, but that's a different subject. I would love to talk about that. But especially when it is a female, is that, okay, well, why can't a man openly admit that he was overtaken by a female? It's because our society thinks so little of women, still think women as weak, women as doormats, women as, damsels in distress. So then if a man is overtaken by a female, that puts him even lower than the way we normally think of women.
Yeah.
You know, and so with the male on male sexual assault, then there's that natural combativeness and competition between men to show who's going to be on top. Literally and figuratively, and and you see this men compete in everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Two guys sitting at their desk and they need to throw a piece of paper away, they'll wad it up and start shooting it across. Next year the guy at the next desk doesn't have anything, he just starts wadding up paper, and now they're competing, throwing ball, like a little basketball game of trash, and it's like they compete against everything in our society. And so when it comes to something like, why couldn't you fight a man off, it's like, why didn't you overpower him, aren't you man enough? And so it's like the flip side of the same coin. And women now have more of a support network in this, like RAINN, RAINN, and they deal with rape and incest. And their statistic is that 85% of reported rapes, that's reported, not the ones that actually happened, but the 85% of reported rapes are happen by someone who was very close in the immediate family friends network of the survivor. Notice I didn't say victim. And so when 85% of reported rapes and assaults are people that the average person doesn't want to then turn around and say, oh, this person in our friends and family that we all love and adore, well, they raped me, or they've been raping me since I was 6, that kind of thing. And so for men, especially, that kind of, it's interesting how men have this brotherhood, and yet the brotherhoods of their family, friends, associations, there's a brotherhood, but it's always filled with some kind of competition. And I wonder if men ever truly feel safe in any friendship. And then when they get into a relationship, they don't feel safe in that either, because they constantly have to prove themselves in everything they do. They are never allowed to just sit back and relax and surrender and be taken care of the way women, as the feminine, a lot of my job is to sit back and receive, right? But then there are times when I want to give, and he lays back and receives and just surrenders to it. And it's so beautiful. And I wish that more men allowed themselves that. And I wish that they would gently, lovingly demand that in their lives and in their relationships of, what, I need to receive, and I need to know what it feels like to be touched gently. Most women don't know that. Paw, I've been pawed since I was 10. I started being molested when I was 9. And so when I hit puberty at 10, suddenly it's nothing but, and strangers, so like men in the store somewhere, they would purposely try to walk way too close to me, like it was too small a space, just so they could rub up against my ass or my breast. And it's disgusting. And so women and men, I hope we get to a point, and that's what a big part of my work is to allow ourselves to just give in to receive, and to receive gentle touch. And when the first time you receive truly gentle touch, it can be heartbreaking when you realize you've never been touched like that before. And you can start to have an emotional breakdown right then.
I'm laughing because it's happened to me more than once with Morgan.
Because when you let those barriers down, and you actually, and you're with someone that, again, you feel safe with and you can trust, which most people don't have, and you allow yourself to be touched gently and lovingly, you're like, why haven't I had this before? And then who are all these assholes in my life that I thought it was normal for them to touch me and treat me like that? It's so interwoven. There's so much that we as a society and as a spiritual community, we can start unraveling and unwinding to get us all back to love.
Yeah. I mean, it only makes sense because I've told Morgan, like for me, I'm at the point now where I realize that my sacred sexuality, the power, whatever you want to call that, is the core of my existence. Like you were saying, like it affects every single aspect of everything I do. And if that's the case, then the opposite side of it would be just as true, which is the sexual trauma and distortion, and the effect it would have on all aspects of my existence. But it's a great topic, and I think more and more conversations are being had around sacred sexuality, however they refer to it. And I think that it's starting to permeate into the consciousness of the distorted masculine, which is primarily represented by the physical male incarnate. But it's such a powerful subject. I have a feeling that when you work with people, whether it's a man or a woman, that there's a lot more energetic work or dimensional work or energetic clearing than there is like with technique and stuff like that.
It depends on where they are in their journey. Some people can't touch themselves. Some people have trouble even showering, for basic hygiene, because they're so traumatized by that. And some of it, that's just religious brainwashing, that your genitals are gross. And if you touch yourself, you'll either go blind or, you're just, going to hell or whatever. But some people, the sexual abuse, it varies person to person. Like one client, she started using the trauma that she experienced as a damsel in distress type of story to get attention from men, because she was so desperate to find a man who could love her and make her feel good as a female, and to help wash away the abuse of her father and his friend, that she started using that as a story to kind of get men's sympathy. So this manifests in all kinds of ways. So people either have trouble touching themselves, or they have trouble with sexual function. Maybe they become anorgasmic. They can't orgasm no matter what they do. They turn to porn, but they're disgusted by porn, or it just doesn't do it for them. They become addicted to vibrators because they don't want to touch themselves, or they don't know how to. Or what they do is they just become the other extreme, which is they become highly sexually active. They'll have sex with anyone and anything to bury the pain that comes up. And for me, I experienced some of that in my younger years. I was like, well, if I'm not worth anything, what does it matter? Let me go and have sex. And I wanted to have control over men, because I was tired of men having the control over me. And I learned pretty early on that I radiate an energy that men mistake as sexual energy. I just have I've always had a very strong Shakti energy. And it's my feminine energy. Like I am, the goddess embodied in the physical. This is what an empowered female actually looks like. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm not trying to outdo men. I don't need to do what men do. I exist as a woman to do and be all the things that men can't.
God, this is powerful, man. This is like a download. Hey, so I think I asked you this last time, but I just want to kind of go back to it because, just because I can do that. It's my show.
Right.
No, but does a man, I know I remember talking to you about this, but we were talking about in a little different way, but does a man have a womb cavity? Like, and if so, is it physical? Is it strictly energetic?
Sorry, it's my husky. My familiar is embodied in this beautiful woofy husky.
Oh, cool.
He's wanting to get in on the conversation.
That happens sometimes when we're doing shows.
He wants to sit right in front of me. I love
That's
you.
fine.
I don't need your protection, but I appreciate it. Todd's a good guy. Okay, so the question is, do they have a womb cavity? What's interesting is that in theory, people who have been toying with the idea of men being able to gestate a fetus, yes, there is an actual way for men to have a cavity, but you're just not designed to do that. But there is a womb space. So is your question more about the womb space, the way we think of it as women in terms of being creator beings?
Well, I think it has to do with, first of all, is it physical? Is it strictly like say chakra-esque or energetic? Is it if it's there, what does it have to offer, or what function does it have potentially? Is it pleasure, creativity, whatever? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. You're grappling? No, it's well, like I said, there is the actual physical space in a man's body where, you know, if they figured out how to get a fetus to actually live up in there, yes, there is space for that. And then after that, it's just muscles and skin stretching, right? So and figure out how to hook up the blood supply and a placenta and all that. So yeah, technically that's, you know, something they could work on, I'm sure. But men have a sacral chakra. You know, the sacral chakra is your creative center. It's where you kind of manifest your hopes and dreams and all your creativity, everything that you want to create in this lifetime or, you know, any lifetime. Your solar plexus is your will center. It's where you make your choices. But if you have a blocked root chakra, which is your identity, you know, and your basic survival needs, right? And then you have your sacral chakra, which is blocked because your creativity is suppressed, because you've been told, don't use your imagination, stop daydreaming, just do what you're told, go through life, you know, tick these boxes, and then you'll be considered a good person, you know, and a model citizen and all that. You know, then you get to the will center. It's really hard to make the right choices in your life that are conducive to your path and what's best for you. So that blocks the manifestation, because the choices that you may be making are for all the systems outside of you rather than all of the systems within you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting too, what you said about the root chakra, because that's one of the things, because you said that's where your identity is, right? And as you know, I've cleared, which I'm safe to say I cleared, at least to a certain level, the soul, that channel, the lower chakra channel. The root has been the last one. And I've actually felt that a lot in the last couple of months. And
it's been buzzing. The energies have specifically been coming in to wake that up. And if I can just quickly, what I meant to say is, in the, you know, the traditional way we think of chakras,
right,
you know, because what you're saying, that you're doing the healing. As we do the healing, then, you know, then your root chakra goes from being survival to this, wow, I'm not fighting for money. I'm not fighting for survival. I'm not fighting for my place in society. I'm rooted in abundance. I'm rooted in where I want to live and where I want to, you know, be the steward for Mother Nature. You know, that you kind of flip all of the fear aspects of these qualities into the love aspects of all these qualities. And so then, yes, you do. You'll heal your lower chakras, and then of course, we're all working on our upper chakras, and then the heart is kind of that dividing line. But when you live from your heart becomes your new root chakra. And so then all of your choices are made from your heart.
The heart becomes okay. There you go.
It becomes your new root chakra, because that's where we want to live from. We're not living from this lower aspect, and lower as in just where the chakras are. This aspect of, I have to fight for everything, and it's competition, and it's survival of the fittest.
I gotta bust the moves properly.
Can't be weak. Yeah, I can't be overtaken. I've got to do whatever I have to do to win and succeed at all costs.
Which in a intimate interlude is so pronounced. Like literally, you know, it used to be I'd start to make a move, and then I'd go, oh, you can't do that, you know, because I can't do that. And then you go back and like, what do I do? But now it's becoming, you know, like the last couple of months, like because I feel the root chakra clear. I felt it clear. I felt this move to the heart, like you're talking about. And one of the things that's happened is my connection, because I've always been very organic, but something happened, like it leveled up. Like I'm like, you know, and I haven't normally done this, you know, I mean, I've always been in gratitude, but I'm like talking to Mother Earth and saying, you know, almost like I'm sorry for not waking up sooner. But so there's been some type of, you know, like when people talk about their chakras open and the crown connects to the cosmos, I've felt that many, many times. And then the earth thing I have too, but this has been like an explosion, like just a huge clearing out, like you said with the Roto-Rooter thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been part of what I've experienced. And then the other thing has been when you said the word identity, and you mentioned it in the context of the root chakra, that like jumped out at me, because like I remember the other night I was laying there and I actually went to bed, which normally I don't do before her. We usually go to bed together most of the time. And I was laying there and I was connecting and I couldn't turn it off. And one of the things that was happening was I was like being told, okay, you're not this, you're not that. You know, you're not a man, you're not a woman, and I was like laying there, I go, well, what does this mean? It's like, you're not just this body. And then everything changed and it went like hyper multi-dimensional. But yeah, so there seems to be like a much more evident relationship between what occurs when those transformations and alignments take place inside of you, you know?
Yeah, and to get there, you have to do the healing.
Hmm.
And what the global shutdown has meant for people is that people have had not as much access to all of the distractions or coping mechanisms or to kind of stay in this bubble that they create for themselves where they don't have to deal with their shit.
Yeah.
And so what a lot of people have found is like, wow, I've got to deal with all of this because you cannot bypass this. Like what you experience is amazing because, and you experience it because you've done the work, and the work is hard and it's difficult. And when you understand that this body is just the physical emanation of your soul, and you are so much more, and you are not
Right.
this body, and the identity of your name and your social security number and even your address. I mean, all of that is just, you know, it's just contrived. It's just little labels, you know, that help the 3D and the people who care about that shit to put you in a box somehow, some way. You know, all of that helps to put you in a box, some demographic or whatever. And when you realize that that's not who you really are, and none of this is who you really are, that this is an illusion, this is a game, this is an avatar, you know, yeah, it's pretty amazing. My dog, he's talking to me. Huskies are talking to him. He's like, yeah, mom, it's exactly right.
So, and then this is the last thing on the male womb or the male whatever. Okay. Like, do you think they're like, for instance, sex in the past has been, let's just say in terms of the man's lingam, okay, has been kind of like you do this, and you do this. That's about it, right? Do you think
only in the West?
Only in the West? Okay, so this is where I'm going with it. So do you think? I guess I probably answered the question, but I'll just finish it. So do you think that there are erroneous spots with huge potential in areas that we've been, you know, working with or whatever, or manipulating or whatever you want to call it, that are going to be coming to the surface, you know, that are going to be, I guess, like in the East? I mean, is in the East, are they aware of these types of things, I guess?
You said erroneous. Or that's what I heard. I think you meant
I didn't mean erroneous.
Erogenous.
I mean
There's nothing erogenous
Not
about the
erogenous.
penis or the vagina. No, but what's funny though is that that's exactly the way the West perceives it, particularly from the Christian culture. And yes, I am very Irish and Scottish. Thank you, Facebook user. Yeah, it's I see. This is one of the things that I say about the vagina is that people want to talk about the clit, which is the outside part, the external clit. They focus on that little button, right? And I'm like, well, actually, the clit, most of the clitoris is up inside the body, and people don't understand that the vagina herself is actually, as I say, wall to wall erogenous zones. There is something everywhere you move your finger, up and in and all around, including the cervix, which is technically part of the uterus. It is it's all erogenous zones, but you have to know how to touch it. And if you're just jamming penises or dildos in there, you will never really understand. This also goes back to slow down, feel, surrender, gentle touch on the clit. Most women would say, well, I don't feel anything. And I would say, well, stop using a vibrator. Get in there and just gently, be so gentle. And men can do this too, especially on the underside of their penis. If you're circumcised, your circumcision scar is probably the most sensitive part of your penis. If you're not circumcised, if you're intact, then you know the most sensitive part of your penis is the frenulum. And so, which is the little triangle, it's where the foreskin attaches to the glands. And just be gentle, because every part of your body can be an erogenous zone. Why? Because you have nerve endings everywhere.
Yeah.
And so now this, like the backs of the knees, the nape of the neck, especially Japan, they love the nape of the neck. That's why in the geishas, the geishas would do their makeup here in the neck, but then they leave a little bit in the back of the neck, here in the nape of the neck, bare. So it's just bare skin. So it's like in the old days of a glimpse of a woman's ankle, it's like, woo, it's gonna get you going. But in the West, because of the Christian domination and the Christian skewing of sexuality, because again, orgasm is the fastest way to have a spiritual experience, and the Christian church, the Catholic Church, wanted to control every aspect of your religious experiences. They've made everything dirty and erroneous when in fact it's all erogenous.
That's right. And I guess too, like for me, and I'm just trying to help people. I just opened my book here, but so it's and you speak of the neck and the back of the knee. I mean, these are all very familiar to me with Morgan.
Even right here. Oh
yes.
My God, this right here, even in here, the insides. I mean, literally, if you just slow down and just explore. And this is one of the things that I teach in my program, Awesome, Awakening Energy and Sound Orgasm Meditation. You can get it on my website.
Holy shit. Can you say that again?
It's called Awesome, AWESOM, Awakening Energy and Sound Orgasm Meditation. And so I teach you how to do this. Yeah. And to have mind-blowing orgasms without even touching yourself. Yeah.
Well, what's mind-blowing to me is that, when I touch from the heart, which has become almost like second nature now, it's very easy to discover, not only discover the sensitivities on the body, on her body, but also to know what to do. It's like crazy. Like, it's like, you open a door and it's a familiar place and you know where everything is. And it's just, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you're actually paying attention to her responses. See, when most people have a hookup or a one-night stand, or maybe you've been in a relationship long enough where now it's just kind of rote, right? You're just kind of get on this physical mechanics of sex rather than fully enjoying the sensual and sexual experience. And so if you're not treating the entire experience as an adventure in wonder and new exploration and new things to discover, if you're going at it as just, the show comes on in 5 minutes, we got to be done. So I got to wash off before my program's on.
Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Exactly.
It's a very finite experience.
But if you can get to a place where the entire experience is a journey, like it's exploration, it's discovery, and really pay attention. See, men love details. See, this is where men, and this is what I help men with, men love details. Men love being focused on one thing. So use that to your advantage. Focus on one thing and discover as much as you can about that. And women, we're so multi-perspective focused. This is just our biology. We have to see the big picture and details. Is that to see the big picture of your man as a whole and not just a penis, or not just, what you're holding on to his ass for the next few minutes or whatever, and just really see him as a complete being, emotional as well as physical. So I kind of help men and women, with what they're naturally designed to do, our biology, but then also from a sensual tantric perspective, and then from a spiritual perspective of how to re-examine and relearn how to be sexual and sensual with yourself and with a partner.
My friend Jen Reynolds put up a note about her and her partner, that he can't touch her back at times, or her belly button. It creates so much energy. I think I told you this the last time we talked. That's happened with Morgan and I. We've had to keep a vomit bowl in the bedroom. And it happened about 3 or 4 nights ago as well. And I was just wondering, because the energy becomes so powerful, it literally, by human terms, makes you sick, makes you feel like you're gonna.
You're short-circuiting your entire system.
So what can you explain that? I mean, why is that happening? Is it going to continue to happen, or does it evolve and you surrender and become more used to it, or what do you think?
If you had asked me that 5 years ago, I would have said you could you could adapt to it. Because we all have these, like when you have an experience and it's so amazing, and the next time you do it, it's still really good. The third time, okay, that's fine. The fourth, like, okay, all right. You kind of become numb to it, or your body adjusts, because again, your physical body, we have to remember our biology. Our physical body is designed for homeostasis. Our body wants to do as little as possible to maintain whatever state you're in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so so 5 years ago, I would have said that you could have adjusted to it, because that's what I certainly experienced in my own journey, is that when I had my first cosmic, went traveling through the universe kind of orgasm, I was like, oh my God. And then the next several after that were just as amazing. And then it kind of tapered off as I learned to drive it. I learned to drive my responses. But now, even now, if I don't have to do anything and I'm just there and the pleasure is there. And so I think what's happening is, and this is all new territory for all of us, but I think we are learning new capabilities of the human body. And I think from a spiritual perspective, an ascension perspective, as we get upgrades, we are losing the density. We are holding more light. We are becoming more crystalline. We are getting chakra upgrades and activations, DNA upgrades and activations, clair senses activations. I mean, if you think that your clairsentience and your claircognizance and your clairaudience and your voyance, and that it's not participating in this, you're crazy. Of course it is. We're up leveling in every way, physically as well as spiritually and energetically.
Absolutely.
And so I think that what's happening is that we are actually on the frontier of where human sexuality can be, but it was hijacked so long ago.
Right,
like maybe this is the way it was in Atlantis or Lemuria.
Right,
Maybe this is the way it was 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 years ago, when we still had goddess temples before patriarchy really took hold.
Right.
They were still realizing, because all of this is feminine. All of this is the feminine aspect of experiencing, because you can't experience as much when you're going and doing. That's the masculine, go, make, do. And it's the feminine that says,
push.
Oh,
push,
okay.
Push.
Yes. I want it all. Just let me have it.
And like you were saying too about about your journey, and then the orgasm where you went off into multidimension, all that. Oh. And we're talking about that feeling that comes in, all this energy comes in, that Jin's talking about, we've experienced. But I'm 95% of what I'm talking about hasn't even involved an ejaculation orgasm. It not by traditional senses. Now, you talked about amaretto a while ago. I mean, I wet the whole bit. It's like almost like having, because I've had energetic orgasms or soulgasms, all in different parts of my body, in totally let's just say unstereotypical ways or untraditional ways. And maybe that is what we're going back to. Maybe that's what but the other thing is it is affecting my physical, because it's almost like having mini, M-I-N-I and M-A-N-Y orgasms, because it literally fills up and goes down, fills up and goes down. So but it's not in the traditional sense, but there's a lot of amaretto.
Amrita.
Amrita, whatever you call it.
Amrita. The way I explain it, or the way I process what you're talking about, is I call it that my body, which has such innate inherent wisdom, is its own self-charging battery. Ejaculation climax is exhausting. Because you're really engaging the physical body, and ejaculation is built up of tension, and it involves the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments and the blood supply and all of that. And so then orgasm, for me, while it is physical, it's also very energetic. And so the more I do it, the more it does. The more I want it, the more it keeps happening. And that's why I think we talked about this before. It's 4 hours, really just from nipple stimulation, having amazing orgasms, just one after the other. And then at the end of the 4 hours, I jump off the bed and I'm ready to go out, start my day. And it's just like, you can never do that after climaxing.
That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example. I get what you're saying. Yeah. And
But it's your body. Your body is
yeah,
a self-charging battery. And so
yeah.
that's kind of what you're experiencing is that, but it's just like if your car battery goes dead and you need another battery to come
Hmm.
charge it, you have to kind of let it run for a little bit. But
Hmm.
but if you drive your car regularly, and
Yeah.
it's a healthy battery, right? Healthy, then the battery's kind of recharging itself, right? Every
Yeah.
time you drive. And so when you don't drive very often, your battery can kind of you kind of lose that spark, as it
So use
were.
it or lose it. Is that what you're telling me?
Use it or lose it, and then take my program to regain it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said that earlier when I was mentioning, my experience with what's happening with the root chakra, that's kind of prevalent. Uh, well, I guess on the earth grid at this time. I mean, do you see that as you know something that's obviously what's that bringing to the table? Because I'm one of those that thinks everybody's being affected, even the
Mm.
people that are called unawakened and all that. But like, there seems to be a really strong link to the power of sacred sexuality, the proper power of the pure aligned power of sacred sexuality with this energy that you were referring to. Do you see some things that are going to be coming into our field more obviously, more evidently, as a result of the collective clearing this root?
What I would like to see is the end of BDSM. I would love to see the end of sexualized violence and violentized sex.
Yeah,
I would love to see this. I have seen this in people who say, like people who watched every episode of Game of Thrones, every episode of 24, that people cannot stomach violence anymore as
yeah,
much, and they cannot, and I've seen friends specifically say this: I cannot continue to watch this violence against women in all of these
right,
shows.
right,
And so they are being affected, but they no longer accept this kind of violent sex and sexualized violence as entertainment,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And because they are looking at their partners, their female partners,
yeah,
they're looking at their daughters, they're looking
yeah,
at what their daughters are experiencing in high school or in junior high. They're now becoming cognizant that children are watching porn on their phone as early as age 7 or 8 now.
yeah,
And so the children are being exposed to things they should never see, and the
yeah,
porn sites are showing things as the clickbait of the day that would have been the thing that you would maybe never see years and years and years ago. Certainly it's not just skin mag type stuff
no, no, no.
anymore, but
I mean,
it's an
yeah,
awakening on all levels, because this the sexuality has been so sexuality itself has been traumatized, and
absolutely,
it's been done, so not just in religion but in our what we call entertainment. And it's just a continuing, like, this is the way men should be, this is the way women should
hmm,
be. And all these, I'm a history person, I grew up loving history, I'm a theater person, I love costumes, so a good costume drama, oh my gosh, I love that. But every time it's a costume drama, guess what the position of the women are?
yeah,
And
yeah.
just like black people don't want to see movies made about the 1860s in America, because guess what? Guess
Shit,
what roles
the
they are?
1960s.
1960s,
You know,
1980s, yeah,
but
exactly.
you're right about that. We started we discovered Netflix a while back with the show Outlander, which there's a lot of what you're talking
Ah,
about, and then we went to Vikings, and I remember
oof.
watching Vikings, and I just remember, and I mentioned this to Morgan. I just get out of the room, and I'd say, you know what, so much violence, and so I get what you're saying, and even like I've never been a big, but I guess what I was trying to say is this MMA thing, right?
Oof.
The MMA, whatever they call it, those are UFC.
I can't stand boxing,
I
you
can't, I
know.
can't, I can't watch, I can't watch 2 minutes of it. I'm like, this is just stupid. It's just like fucking stupid. And of course, I'm saying that from an energetic standpoint, but yeah. And then you brought up Game of Thrones, and I remember a couple of scenes there because I watched that once with Morgan, and like it's just, yeah, I get what you're saying. So that's good that you're hearing that. and that's got to be something that's that's gaining steam, I would think, as people are waking up.
Yeah, and so in that way, it's you kind of have to honor, well, you honor wherever any person is on their journey, because that's the journey that they are choosing and have chosen. And some people's souls have said, you know what, I don't want to wake up, not even for this lifetime,
Right.
when all this shit's going down, right?
Right.
But for some people, oh, my dog wants out. But for some people, they don't know what to do. If they are coming to the awakening that everything they've been told and shown to be normal isn't actually normal or should not be normal, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And, trying to find help through Google or Facebook or whatever, they're only going to show you what the algorithms are going to show you what you've searched for or in the past.
It's no different than like what you were saying too. Candace said desensitize. That's a word that keeps coming up for me as we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh, she also says resensitize. I like that. But like, so you got this censorship thing, right? Like we're getting suppressed right now on a
sex coaches and spiritual people are getting censored right and left. So when you talk about sex from a spiritual perspective, oh yeah, Facebook and Instagram, they block me all the time. I don't know if we talked about
this last time. They're not going to block objectifying women and even children.
See?
And the other thing is like, okay, so they're censoring political platforms, but they're not going to censor porn.
Yeah.
And I know that 10 years ago, 1 out of 4, no, what was it? It was 3 out of 4 hits on the internet was a porn related site.
Oh yeah.
That's fucking huge. 3 out of 4.
A lot of money. There's a lot of money in sex. And so imagine if we had sex websites or websites that deal with sex from a beautiful, normal, natural way that taught proper, actually true sexual education. So you could have sites that really are geared toward how, let's say, teenagers, because they're already doing stuff anyway. If you had in place sexual education that is age appropriate and that is not skewed by religious rites or abstinence only bullshit, and then you have websites that are erotica, that are beautiful. I would love to direct some erotica. I would love to get my perspective of what sex should be on film. That is actually a goal of mine.
Yeah, there's a big difference between erotica. I used to love to read erotica when I was a kid, because I just happened to find this book on the sidewalk, which kind of, I guess, was my higher self sending something down. But it was erotica. It wasn't like it was just different. And I remember 2 years ago, I'm talking 10 plus years ago, I watched a little porn, but I remember finding because I didn't like it, and I found this one. I don't know what it was, but I found this one place. I think they did it in black and white, and it was all erotica. It was just romantic, sensual interludes that had a different type of rhythm and a different type of energy.
It's a different feel. Yeah, completely. And, and some people, but when you've only seen porn, because I don't even know if Skin Mag still exist, but I know that Playboy stopped doing nudes because there was no point, but if that's all you've known, you don't even like it, but you may not know what words do you put into a search string to find something that is sex, that because you want to see sex that is actually normal. The word
or will they even let you find it?
Exactly. Again, going back to what you've searched for in the past, the algorithms are just going to keep showing you what you've searched for in the past. So, do you even know that erotica exists? That there are actually independent websites that make beautiful erotica where and I saw one complaint. This keeps coming to mind. There was one complaint against one video. This person complained, I can't believe that the man and woman actually talked to each other for 7 minutes before they even started kissing.
But this is the thing. But this is getting back to what you were saying. Slow down. No expectations. That's been a big one that I've embodied recently. And the other thing that's interesting too is like Morgan downloaded this stuff for years and years and years before she met me, and she would tell me certain things, but until I cleared things and or surrendered, I couldn't experience them, even if someone told me, right? So
Right.
it's like there's something inside that really has to happen. And it's so, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, in the last 2 weeks, I had, I think 2 or 3 nights, I just looked at her and said, I feel so fucking vulnerable. I don't even know what to do. Like it's such an overpowering feeling. He's ready to
Yeah.
go.
Well, no, he's he just wants to be on camera. Yeah, he is my familiar embodied, and so woo,
He's getting hot. That's what's going on.
he's maybe that's it. Okay, calm down.
Yeah,
Calm
he's getting
down.
hot. He's getting hot.
No,
It's
I'm
getting
sorry.
hot in here.
What was your question? Because it was a good one. I liked it. What was the question?
Oh, I got one.
No,
Does
that one. What was the question?
I forgot because I got thrown off.
I'm sorry.
I don't know. So, do you think that watching erotica or fantasizing takes away from presence with your partner?
If you're fantasizing about someone or something else while you're with your partner,
Yeah,
it can.
that's a no-brainer. Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Well, it can. If I think all of this just got shifted. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What happens is that if you are healing and you're making the transition from, say, doing the fantasizing while you're masturbating, and that becomes successful, and then you make the next move of being with a partner to have sex with your partner, you may actually find you need to do some of the fantasizing, because if you go from the way you normally do it to with a partner, you may experience dysfunction. And this is actually what happens to a lot of people. You masturbate, you have sex by yourself, and then, you get the chance to have sex with another person. But maybe you, like women, they use a lot of vibrators, but you don't want to bring your vibrator into the sex with your partner, or you shouldn't. You shouldn't want to do that.
I struggle with.
So then once you're with a person, you're not doing what your body is normally used to doing to get to climax or orgasm. It's now completely different. And if it's a new person, they don't have a clue. And if you're not communicating, then they really won't have a clue about how you like to be touched.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it could be like a graduated, a conscious, like you start out masturbating, you're alone, you're fantasizing, and then you have a partner. And so it could be like a graduated, but a conscious, I think you'd have to be conscious. Okay, this is where I'm at, and I'm going to try this and try to get to a point where I'm not fantasizing or something. But I think what you said is so important. And this is as I'm sitting here talking to you and thinking about this vulnerability presence that's been enveloping me the last few weeks, and thinking about this whole subject. And of course, being in bed, you're naked, you're vulnerable, you're bearing all that. But that communication, I would think, is a huge part, especially when someone else is involved, obviously, because I mean, it starts with the conversation with yourself, I guess. But that's sexy, right? That's sexual. I mean, that's
communication
sensual.
is totally sexy, especially if you kind of finesse how you express through your verbal communication. And this is another thing, is that what did you just say? Or one of the points that I wanted to make that you're kind of alluding to is that, like, going back to the fantasies. Okay, let's say a sexual trauma survivor needs that fantasy during sex with a partner. Say she's having, let's say, a woman, and she's having sex with a man again for the first time. She's not going to, no matter how much work she's done on herself. I firmly believe that trauma experienced in the body has to be healed through the body. And so when she's making that transition from, okay, all this work I've done on myself, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and physically, and now I'm bringing a man back into my body, because that's what sex is, vaginal sex or anal, even oral. I am allowing another human being to come up into my body. This isn't just bodies touching. I'm allowing you to come up inside me. And men don't think of it like that. Of
course not.
It's like if somebody that you just met wanted to stick their finger up your nose. Would you let them? We're like, no, what? And yet I just met this guy at the bar and I should totally want him to put his penis up inside me. No. So the communication has to be there. And so say, like, again, for the example of the a sexual trauma survivor may need that fantasy. You're calling it fantasy. I want to call it visualization.
Visualization.
I need that visualization of I am safe. I am safe. I am worthy. I am safe. I can say no at any time. He will respect me at any time. And you're just kind of doing this mantra in your head. And you're also visualizing safe space. You may need to visualize a meadow with flowers and, you know, a sacred grove. You know, you may need that.
That's a lot different than what people would think about as fantasizing, you know, like,
well, it's because but it is fantasizing is because it is fantastic, but it's the connotation of the word.
Yes.
The fantasizing as opposed to visualizing.
It's different if you're in a rut, I guess, and you're with someone and you're thinking about something else or someone else while you're doing it, you know, like totally disengaged.
That's another thing. I'll tell you a story real quick. Back when I was married, and we were having sex because I figured out early on that if we had, you know, sex regularly, if I gave him a blowjob at least once a week, he didn't complain about the credit cards. So we were having sex and my eyes were closed because I was trying to think of anyone and anything but him. And at one point he said, open your eyes. And I opened my eyes and I had been thinking about like some gorgeous guy, my dream guy or whatever. And I opened my eyes and it was him. I was like, oh my God. And then suddenly the whole idea, my God, he's inside me. Oh God, when can this be over? It's awful. If you are in that kind of situation, first of all, your relationship really needs some work. You may just need to leave. I couldn't get divorced fast enough, but it was many years later that I actually got divorced. But sometimes if you feel stuck in your inner rut, sometimes that fantasizing in that moment, you feel like it's the only thing getting you through. You know, and if you're in those extenuating circumstances, like a lot of women financially can't leave, they can't be, they're not able to be financially sufficient and to, you know, live the life of their dreams and the career of their dreams so that they can then bring in the man of their dreams, you know? And so the fantasizing, it's like, just to get through it. And that's that's an awful place to be in a relationship.
Oh, I know. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I know I can relate to that, you know, where it just becomes like this daily thing where it's the only thing that seems to, you know, trying to help you get through it because the rest of it's shit. It's just a reflection of the whole thing anyway. And that's what's so powerful to me about what I'm discovering about sacred sexuality is that it's so, and there's no words and there's no explanation, but you have the encounter and you just expand and you expand and you expand. And somehow or another, at some point on the linear timeline, a week or a day or whatever it is later, you start to see the connection. Wow, my shoulders are you know up straight, or it could just be all kinds of things. I'm speaking more authentically, or you know, or I feel better about myself, or I feel powerful, or whatever the case is. Pretty cool.
Because you're getting in touch with your body, and from a spiritual perspective, your body is your Merkaba. It is your vehicle in this lifetime. And so much of what we are taught is to hate our body, because hating our body makes cosmetic companies and diet pill companies and gyms a lot of money. Because, you know, because if we actually loved our body, no matter what, we would be more gentle with our body. We would be more gentle with ourselves. You know, if we were like, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I was depressed for 10 years and gained a lot of weight. But I am going to love my body anyway. And I'm going to love my body through to getting healthier. And I'm going to be healthy in my, my food choices, my beverage choices, and I'm going to be healthier in my relationship choices. I'm going to be healthier all around, because when you understand that your body is not this thing that is holding you back, that it's actually this beautiful vehicle that gets your soul around in this physical existence, and you start to have a different relationship with your body, then you can wake up to just how much wisdom is in your body.
It's becoming like the key component in our multidimensionality. The body's just like totally come online the last year and a half or so. I want to ask you something before we get out of here, to help maybe further assist the primarily the men, or the masculine distortion. So you said, and this is really, really powerful. I shared something on Soulogy a couple of days ago in regard to it, which was where the woman started out by saying, when I open my legs, I'm opening my soul. And then she went on to this really well-written prose. But you said that, so when obviously someone enters you, that, it's such a, sacred, delicate. I mean, we could think of all these different words, and that a man doesn't really think about that, because I mean, how, you know what I mean? I mean, that's how how do you feel like a man could learn to appreciate that to the nth degree? I mean, like to the greatest extent that he could.
Anal sex, baby. Go for it. Love on your prostate and get up in there. That is the only way men are truly going to understand. See, this is one of the things, like with anal sex, it actually takes some preparation. It takes some, not preparation age, it takes other kinds of preparation.
Okay, I think you just turned off. Any man that was open to that just got turned off.
But there is prep work that has to be done, and like silicone lube is better than, say, water-based lube. And to have some toys, maybe some gloves, that there's preparation, there's attention that goes into that, and then you go slowly in there. And then once your finger is in there, let's say you're doing the prostate massage, you have to be very gentle on the prostate, because the prostate's very delicate. That male prostate, if you start seeing blood, you need to get to a doctor. So you have to be gentle.
Excuse me.
Go get your exam, sir. But you have to be careful and gentle, and it takes preparation, and it takes communication. And so if men are like, oh, you're not doing that up in my wear. No. But it's like, but you absolutely expect women to just want your penis up in their vagina and to just go, okay, she's wet, now let me get inside. Like, no, that's actually not the way it works. Is that the vagina needs to needs to be prepared for entry. If the vagina is wet, that does not mean the vagina is actually ready to be penetrated. Yeah. And so what men could learn is truly from anal sex. That's just about the only way that men are going to have some kind of similar experience to what a woman would experience with him coming up into her vagina. See, the vagina is kind of considered like, oh, well, the penis and the vagina go together, so then she should automatically want it and automatically be ready, and that, and when you have a situation where the guy is like, I don't know, oh, I got an erection, let's do it now, that puts a lot of pressure on the woman to suddenly be ready when her vagina may not be. I can be hot and horny all day long, but that doesn't necessarily mean that my vagina, the physical part of my body, is ready to accept even a toy, much less a penis, and the man that on top of me that goes with it. It's a different thing. So if men would start doing self prostate massage, external first, get comfortable, and then internal prostate massage, I think they would have a better understanding, or at least maybe a sympathy for women and what we experience when we're penetrated.
Yeah, because I don't see how you could do it. I mean, I didn't expect that answer from you, but at the same time, I can get what you're saying from the man's point of view, because it's like, are you hard? Can you go again? Or, I mean, there's these things that run in our heads too, which, it's those situations, you know what I mean, where one says one thing and doesn't really mean it at the level that the other person takes it because of their shadow and their trauma, right? So, yeah, this is such an interesting subject, all jokes aside. It's to me, it's like, I mean, it's just probably one of the most important things we could talk about on the face of the earth as we, reawaken. I'm sad to hear that spiritual sexual healers are being, deplatformed and censored, but that tells me also that it's part of this faucet that's been turned on that's not going to be stopped, because obviously this stuff is being transferred, shared, between souls at a level that's way beyond, do a video, do a
Right.
post, right?
Yeah, in January, Instagram notified me that they had taken down one of my pictures, and it was from November 19th of 2019. So it wasn't even anything recent, but it was a picture of where I was promoting my show, Sacred Sex with Trish. And they said that because I was promoting sexuality, and they have a firm policy against that, they were accusing me of of adult sexual solicitation. I'm like, whoa, what? And I posted this on my Instagram because it was so freaking ridiculous. So of course I appealed it. And every time Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, even Twitter, takes my post down, I appeal every one of them. Everyone has always been put back when a human actually looks at it. But what shocked me is that in that accusing me of adult sexual solicitation by promoting my show, Sacred Sex with Trish, they said that anything that deals with sexuality, Tantra, they specifically mentioned Tantra, and sexual education is all lumped
what a crock of shit.
It's all lumped into pornography now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and they're exclusifying it, to that element of what they're designating as pornography, and the real stuff, they're just letting it roll.
But it's because Instagram is owned by Facebook, and Facebook has quite a few lawsuits that it's going through right now, particularly one that it basically aided and abetted child pedo rings. And Facebook tried to say, no, we didn't do that. We were just a platform. We're not responsible for what these rings, these child pedo rings do. And the judge said, no, actually, Zuckerberg, you are responsible. And so that's when they started doing this crackdown on anything,
Well, I think we're living in a time when everything is going to be balanced out. I think we all know the truth is coming out and how that looks and all that. But so much of this is, all of it's driven by the individual. And so I think this is why having these conversations in regard to this subject are so important, because, man, it's like the biggest domino, isn't it? Sacred sexuality is like the biggest domino. I mean, it's absolutely part of the element of pure love, just like sacred union or divine union. I mean, it's you knock that domino down and, it'll have huge results, I would think,
Right. Because when you get the violence out of sex on all levels, and people no longer need to heal from sexual trauma. They no longer watch violent sex in their entertainment, and they're no longer accepting the bullshit dogma against sexuality from religions and cultures. Then, none of these platforms will be making money. None of these institutions can then make money on the violence of it.
It's all going to go away. So, Kathy Higgins, thank you for this. How can I get in touch with Trish and her work? So I had a couple of questions. So one, where is your program, Sacred Sex with Trish? Where can that be watched? And how can people get in touch with you for a session and or to find you and what you're doing?
Absolutely. Sacred Sex with Trish is on hold right now because I can't promote it, because I have to, on social media, I have to use I have to come up with different ways to say these words. And so there's right now, because that happened in January, there's no way for me to promote Sacred Sex with Trish right now. Not even on YouTube. But anyway, you can find me on my website, trishcausey.com. So it's my name, Trish Causey, CAUSEY.com. And my program is called Awesome Basics. So if you go to my website, trishcausey.com, and you'll see the word awesome at the top, that'll take you to the basic program. And if you want to book a session, just let me know. I do have some specials going on this month. I have a sex ed and magic special group going on for a fee, as well as I have a ascension survival group going on. That's a lot of quantum healings. I do Kodunaki, Reiki, past life regression, that kind of stuff. And then my new program, which is also a pop-up group for this month called Unfuck Your Life. And you can find all of that on my website, trishcausey.com. And the awesome basic, like I said, just go to the top and you'll find it. Or message me on Facebook. And I'll look at my message requests in case we're not already on there. And yes, I know MeWe is free. I am on MeWe. And I do have accounts on like Brand New Shoot and BitChute and all of that. I just haven't put my videos up there. I just haven't known if those platforms are conducive to sacred sex talk. So I'm looking at the different options because I'm definitely ready to be back. What I figured is that I'm going to just kind of lay back and see how this goes because, well, February was ridiculous. The energies were nuts. I was exhausted the whole month of February, but I'm feeling a lot better already this month. We're in the 3-3 portal today. And so, you know, I figured, okay, I'm just gonna kind of back off. I'm willing to lose this battle because I'm here for the war. I am here for the long haul. I'm not going anywhere. This is soul mission for me. So right. I'm not gonna stop. In fact, it just makes me want to do more and more and more. And that's what I'm doing with some of these little pop-up groups this month.
Right on. So trishcausey.com.
Yes.
That'll get you started. And if you're interested in one of those programs, including Unfuck My Life, you can find it all there. Thank you so much. It's always good. You're a riot. And,
thank you, Todd. I love y'all. Thank you, Morgan.
But you're also very real, and I appreciate that. And until the next time. All right. Take care.
Love y'all. Take care. Bye.